How did the idea of race begin in America?
The answer can be found in the long and complex history of Western Europe and the United States. It is that history, influenced by science, government and culture, that has shaped our ideas about race.
What does science have to do with race?
Before the idea of race emerged in America, European scientist Carolus Linz published classification in the book, System Naturale in 1758 that was applied to humans.
You are telling me he tried to classify people like biology classifies animals?
Thomas Jefferson was among those who supported the idea of race as a biological and social hierarchy.
But he writes in our Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal.
He was influential in promoting the idea of race that recognized whites as superior and Africans as inferior. Jefferson wrote in 1776 in Notes on the State of Virginia, "Blacks are inferior to the whites in the endowments both of body and mind."
So race is scientifically proven?
No. Scientists were among those who were influenced by these ideas, and began to develop their own theories about race. German scientist Johann Blumenbach first introduced a race-based classification of humans, which created the basis for analyzing race and racial differences for the next 100 years. By the mid-1800th century, scientific debates over race had entered the mainstream culture and served to justify slavery and mistreatment.
I cannot believe people actually believe race is based in biology. There is no scientific evidence that different races exist. No person is more human than the next.
Hence, capitalists and the ruling elite needed to find an alternate way to keep people separate and maintain the hierarchy for the ruling class.
The 19th century also marked a period of widespread racialization, not just of African Americans, but of Native Americans, Mexican Americans and Chinese Americans as well.
Much of the racializing of non-Europeans, and even the Irish, served an economic and political purpose. For example, African slavery provided free labor and added political clout for slaveholding states in the South.
Taking Native American land and mocking Indian culture was made easier by defining Native people as savages.
At the end of the 19th century, the U.S. experienced another wave of European immigration. This time, the immigrants were Southern and Eastern Europeans, and their presence challenged ideas about race, specifically who was white and who was not.
The Supreme Court made a ruling deciding what white is, right?
Yes. 10 white men made the decision of what being white means. That pretty much leaves out any room for difference of opinion.
So, contemporary scholars agree that race was a recent invention, and that it was essentially a folk idea, not a product of scientific research and discovery.
A growing number of scholars in many disciplines have declared that the real meaning of race in American society has to do with social realities,
quite distinct from physical variations in the human species.
I finished my argument that race was institutionalized beginning in the 18th century, as a worldview, a set of culturally created attitudes and beliefs about human differences. Even U.S. immigration policy tried to limit the number of immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe by imposing quotas.